College football week 5 is looking to be one of the best weekends so far this season. On paper, there's 4 good games I think this weekend. 2 of them late Saturday night. I'll get to those here in a minute. The other 2 earlier in the day. West Virginia goes to Lubbock to play Texas Tech. Florida goes to Mississippi State. Stanford goes to Notre Dame. And then Ohio State comes right here to Happy Valley for the whiteout. College game day is going to be on campus. I'll be over in State College all day on Saturday for College game day and the game at 7:30 on ABC. So be sure to tune in to watch Penn State whip Ohio State's ass. I'll recap week 4 here real quick. All 25 games from last weekend, I went 19-6. Losses later on in the day. I did all right there early on. A couple 12 o'clock games I missed. It was somewhat of a blowout weekend, I think, if you ask me. Some games, they were the totally opposite than what I thought they were going to be. And like I said, I'll get to those here now. There were 3 games on Friday. I thought the Central Florida Atlantic game, for some reason, when I recorded last week, was on Thursday night. That was at 7 o'clock this past Friday. Central Florida defeated Florida Atlantic 56-36. Mackenzie Milton adding to his Heisman campaign with 306 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. And then also on Friday, Penn State went to Champaign, Illinois, defeated the Fighting Illini 63-24. Penn State scored 42 unanswered points after being down 24-21 early in the third quarter. I was on Periscope for this game, and then I was having some technical difficulties with Periscope, so I ended up, shutting it off. And I'm going to let Periscope regroup. Everything else was working fine for me. It wasn't the Wi-Fi, so I think it was something on Periscope's end. I have messaged them and have been talking to them to try to get something figured out, trying to find a solution. I was going to try to be on, for the Colts-Eagles game on Sunday. Obviously not. And then I'm just gonna take some time off from Periscope at the moment. Probably about another week and a half, 2 weeks. The next time I'll be on Periscope will be on Saturday, October 6th, 2018 at 5 o'clock a.m. In the East Coast here for WWE Super Showdown. So that's the next time I'll be on Periscope. And then next time I'll be on Periscope for football, I do not know. Won't be on Periscope Saturday. As I said, I'll be in Happy Valley for the Ohio State-Penn State game. Penn State coming off this win against Illinois. Ohio State defeated Tulane in Urban Meyer's first game back. Other than this game Saturday night between Ohio State and Penn State, between the Buckeyes and Nittany Lions, as I said, there's 4 games I like this upcoming weekend, games to watch. But the other big game, one of those 4, is Stanford and Notre Dame. Stanford went up to Eugene, Oregon, defeated the Ducks in overtime. I'll get to that game here in a minute. Also on Friday night, USC came back and defeated Washington State 39-36. There's a shit ton of lead changes in this game. It was back and forth, tale of 2 halves, really. Washington State was up at halftime, up until 4 or 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Then USC started to come back, and they defeated the Cougars at home after getting upset by them in Pullman last year on the road, 39-36 this year. Georgia defeated Missouri 43-29. Notre Dame really shut everybody up. They defeated Wake Forest down in Winston-Salem 56-27. They have Stanford at home this weekend, as I said. Michigan really impressed at home in Ann Arbor on Saturday, defeated Nebraska by a score of 56-10. Nebraska is now 0-3 for the first time since 1945. Purdue defeated Boston College at home in West Lafayette 30-13. The Boilermakers got their first win of the season. They play Nebraska in Lincoln this weekend. I will be predicting that game here in a minute. Maryland, some other Big Ten action. Maryland defeated Minnesota 42-13. Cincinnati defeated Ohio 34-30. Virginia defeated Louisville at home 27-3. And then down in Tuscaloosa, Alabama defeated Texas A&M 45-23. Nick Saban is now 2-0 against Jimbo Fisher and 12-0 versus former assistant coaches. West Virginia defeated Bill Snyder and Kansas State at home 35-6. Will Grier also adding to his Heisman campaign with 356 yards passing and 5 touchdowns. Old Dominion defeated Virginia Tech in the biggest upset of the weekend, maybe the biggest upset since App State defeated Michigan 11 years ago. Shout out to the 757 area, the Hampton Roads area. This was Old Dominion's first win versus an ACC school and versus a ranked opponent. As a matter of fact, this upset win that Old Dominion, the Monarchs, had over the Hokies is the biggest upset by an FBS school versus an ACC team in the past 40 years. Virginia Tech was a 29-point favorite going into this game. But Old Dominion hung on at home there and defeated Virginia Tech 49-35. Texas defeated TCU at home 31-16. The Longhorns, they scored 21 unanswered after being down 16-10 midway through the third quarter. Oklahoma hung on, defeated Army in overtime at home in Norman 28-21. Somewhat of a scare there for the Sooners. They really don't go up against a triple option that much, and they almost paid for it on Saturday night. Also on Saturday night, LSU defeated Louisiana Tech on the Bayou 38-21. Kentucky defeated Mississippi State. Mississippi State disappointed this weekend, I thought. Kentucky defeated the Bulldogs there 28-7. Kentucky's defeated Florida and Mississippi State both at home this year. So Mark Stoops doing a hell of a job in Lexington so far this year. Mississippi State going into this game, they were averaging 50 points a game. They only put up 7 on Saturday night. So somewhat of a disappointing game for the Bulldogs. Texas Tech, I told you to look out for Texas Tech. Oklahoma State was coming off that big win at home against Boise State. I thought, possibly they would be hungover going into the game. They were. The Red Raiders went to Stillwater, defeated the Cowboys 41-17. Florida defeated Tennessee on the road in Knoxville 47-21. Auburn defeated Arkansas at home 34-3. Michigan State defeated Indiana in Bloomington 35-21. Stanford, as I said, they defeated Oregon in overtime after being down 24-7 midway through the third quarter. They tied it at the end of regulation as time expired at 31 to send the game to overtime. Ended up scoring on the first drive of overtime there, I believe the third play of overtime, and then Oregon ended up throwing an interception, and the Cardinal defeated the Ducks 38-31 in overtime in Eugene. Wisconsin defeated Iowa 28-17. This game was really, really close. Iowa was up 17-14 there, and then Wisconsin scored with less than a minute to go, and then Iowa, that was after. That was right before an interception, and then Iowa threw an interception. Wisconsin ended up scoring again on a fake halfback toss, give it to the fullback. He ran 25 yards up the sideline. So the Badgers defeated the Hawkeyes 28-17. And then the last two games I picked on Saturday before I get into my Week 5 predictions. As I said, on paper, going into Week 5, Week 5 could potentially be the best weekend so far of the 2018 college football season. We'll have to see. That's why they play the games. But Washington hung on against Arizona State at home. They defeated the Sun Devils and the Fightin' Edwards, as Lee Corso has been calling them. Herm Edwards, the new head coach for the Sun Devils. The Huskies defeated the Sun Devils by 7-20 and then Hawaii defeated Duquesne at home 42-21. And then Week 5 predictions, as I said, coming up here. I got, I believe, a couple more games than what I had this past weekend, if I'm correct on that. I believe I have 27 games this weekend to pick from. This past weekend, though, best game, there was a couple. Starting on Friday night, USC-Washington, like I said, back and forth, how many lead changes. And then SC hung on and won by 3. Virginia Tech, Old Dominion, that was back and forth as well. The Monarchs came back, though, and upset the Hokies at home. And then the two late games, Stanford and Oregon, and Wisconsin and Iowa. Impressed, obviously, Old Dominion, big upset for them. As I said, probably the biggest upset since App State defeated Michigan when they were an FCS school back in 2007. Speaking of 2007, 2008, that was actually the first year Old Dominion had a football team. They've only been a program for 10 years. And, everything takes time, yeah. But as I said, this is probably their biggest win in school history, probably the biggest upset win since App State, in my opinion, since App State defeated Michigan. So Old Dominion would have been playing their first game in program history back on September 1st, 2007, whenever App State defeated Michigan. Texas Tech also impressed. I told you to look out for the Red Raiders. I wouldn't have been surprised if they upset them, the Oklahoma State Cowboys, that is, and they did just that. So Texas Tech and Old Dominion impressed, and then, as I said, Mississippi State disappointed. Games to watch this weekend, as I said, 4 of them, in my opinion. 1, West Virginia, Texas Tech. 2, Florida, Mississippi State. Dan Mullen goes back to Starkville. 3 would be Stanford and Notre Dame, and then 4 would be the 7:30 game on ABC this weekend, as ABC and NBC are going to be going head-to-head in the ratings with Stanford, Notre Dame, and Ohio State and Penn State. But before I get into my Week 5 predictions, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to Gridiron Ring on all social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Be sure to hit that subscribe button right here on YouTube. Go follow me on Periscope at ColehandLuke96. As I said, I'll be on Periscope Saturday, October 6th for WWE Super Showdown. Don't know the next time for football at the moment. I was having some technical difficulties there on Friday night with Penn State and Illinois. Penn State won that 63-24. They get Ohio State this weekend. And as I said, I've talked to Periscope trying to get the solution figured out so I can get back on to Periscope doing live reactions, play-by-play of college and NFL football games and WWE pay-per-views. And then follow me. Go check out Gridiron Ring's website as well, and then follow me on Twitter and Instagram. All the links are in the description below, so just scroll down, check those links out, go like, follow, and subscribe. So the first game I'll predict this week is on Thursday night, an ACC matchup, basically a coin flip game, I think. North Carolina goes to Miami to play the Hurricanes. I think it's going to be low scoring. As I said, basically a coin flip game. Watch out for North Carolina. Big win this past weekend against Pitt. Not really that big of a win, but for them, yeah, after starting the season 0-2. Miami, I think they'll defeat the Tar Heels Thursday night. UCLA goes to Colorado. Chip Kelly looking for his first win as a Bruin head coach. I think he will get it Friday night when UCLA goes to Colorado, so Bruins over the Buffs. Arkansas then goes to Texas A&M. Chad Morris in his first year at Arkansas, Jimbo Fisher in his first year at A&M. Chad Morris not really having that much success. Jimbo Fisher, on the other hand, is just a little bit. He has lost to 2 of the top 2-3 teams in the country this year. Almost beat Clemson there at home, and then they went to Tuscaloosa this past weekend. Hung on there early in the first half, but Tua Tagovailoa really shut the Aggies out there. But I'm going to pick A&M in this SEC matchup at noon on Saturday because they are playing at home. Oklahoma State goes to Kansas. I think the Cowboys, they'll bounce back after losing to Texas Tech at home. Kansas lost. They lost to Baylor after winning 2 in a row for the first time since God knows when. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, though. An early kick, 11 o'clock local time there in Kansas. And Oklahoma State, though, as I said, I think Oklahoma State will defeat Kansas. And then Temple goes to Boston College. Steve Adazio coaching versus his former team in Temple. Was the head coach for the Owls for 2 years before he took the BC job. BC will bounce back after losing to Purdue on the road in West Lafayette this past weekend. Syracuse will go to Clemson. Syracuse actually upset Clemson last year, if you remember that. That was last year, though. This is this year. Clemson's playing at home. They're tough at home. Clemson over Syracuse. Syracuse, both teams are 4-0. Syracuse surprisingly 4-0. Syracuse gets their first loss this upcoming weekend against Clemson. West Virginia goes to Texas Tech. Look for Will Grier to have another big game. 5 touchdowns this past weekend. I think it's going to be an old Texas shootout. Maybe 49-45, 52-49, somewhere in there. Not going to be really any defense played, but West Virginia will make it 5 in a row against Texas Tech. They have not lost since 2013. Virginia goes to NC State. Give me the Wahoos on that. Tennessee goes to Georgia. Tennessee, they let Florida put up 47 on them this past weekend. Florida, somewhat iffy to start the year after losing to Kentucky a couple weeks ago. Georgia went to Missouri last weekend. Give me the Bulldogs at home. Purdue goes to Nebraska. Purdue picked up their first win this past weekend against Boston College at home. Nebraska still looking for their first win. I think Scott Frost gets it in Lincoln at his alma mater, as Nebraska, as I think, will defeat Purdue this upcoming weekend. Baylor goes to Oklahoma, goes to Norman there. OU really wasn't ready for Army. They'll be ready for Baylor, though. Give me the Sooners. Texas goes to Kansas State. Longhorns on a 3-game winning streak for the first time since 2014. I think they will make that 4 in a row. So Texas over Kansas State. Florida State at Louisville. Another coin flip game in the ACC. Both these teams really in a down year. Florida State really didn't get off to a good start against Virginia Tech week 1 on Labor Day. Lost to Syracuse a couple weeks ago there. Louisville just lost to Virginia on the road by 24. Give me Florida State. Old Dominion goes to East Carolina. The Monarchs might be a little hungover from that big upset win. East Carolina, yeah, they defeated North Carolina there early in the season. It'll be close, but give me Old Dominion. Michigan goes to Northwestern. I think this game will also be close, but Michigan will be too powerful there late in the game. So give me the Wolverines over the Wildcats. Florida goes to Mississippi State. Dan Mullen returns to Stark Vegas for the first time since taking the Florida job. They put up 47, as I said, against Tennessee last weekend. Mississippi State, on the other hand, though, they lost for the first time this season at Kentucky last weekend after averaging 50 points a game through the first 3 weeks. They only put up 7 this past week. I think they'll practice a little bit harder this week. Joe Moorhead will have the Bulldogs ready against the Gators. The game's in Starkville. Dan Mullen knows how to coach there. He's head coach there for how long before taking the Florida job. It'll be a good game, I think, but it's going to be a game that Dan Mullen will want to forget once it's all said and done. So give me Mississippi State in a bounce-back win against Florida at home Saturday night. Virginia Tech goes to Duke. I think the Hokies will also bounce back after losing to Old Dominion on the road last weekend. Boise State goes to Wyoming. Possible preview of the Mountain West Championship game later on in the season. Give me Boise State, Wyoming. Games I've had them so far this year, they've disappointed. So I can't take the Cowboys this weekend. Give me the Broncos. South Carolina goes to Kentucky. Wildcats over Gamecocks. Mike Stoops against Mark Stoops, excuse me. And I think he's going to keep the train moving in the right direction there. As I said, Kentucky's defeated both Florida and Mississippi State at home this season. Add South Carolina to that list. Stanford goes to Notre Dame. It's going to be a low-scoring, smash-mouth, hard-nosed football game. Give me Stanford, though. Notre Dame, as I said, they shut everybody up this past weekend after putting up 56 on Wake Forest there on the road. But Stanford's coming off a big win on the road against Oregon in overtime. Give me the Cardinal over the Fighting Irish. Ole Miss goes to LSU. Both teams had trouble this past weekend. Ole Miss played Kent State. LSU played Louisiana Tech. They both won. That's all that matters. But LSU, they rarely ever lose at home at night. Yeah, they lost to Troy last year at home at night, but that was last year. This is this year. As I said, they rarely ever lose at home at night. So give me LSU over Ole Miss. USC goes to Arizona. Some Pac-12 games, really late games. And then I'll get to the game of the week. USC goes to Arizona. Trojans, I think they'll pick up a big Pac-12 South win. So USC over Arizona. Khalil Tate, if he has a good game, it might be close there, but I think USC is still going to win. Toledo goes to Fresno State. Toledo, they can put up points, but I'm going to take Fresno State at home. Toledo's, going out west for the first time this season. BYU goes to Washington. This is the upset of the week. BYU will defeat the Huskies on Saturday night. And then the other Washington team, Utah and Washington State, The Cougars, I think, will bounce back. Oregon will also bounce back when they go to Cal. And then the game of the week, Ohio State and Penn State. College game day will be there. I'll be there for game day. I'll be over there all day. I'll be there for the game as well. Maybe the biggest Penn State game in the past 25 years on paper going in. In my opinion, I mean, I can name off some, you know, good big games going in on paper, but you know, you got a top 10 matchup, both teams, and this is really early in the season for these two teams to play each other. They normally don't play each other until late in October or early November. I don't think Penn State's played Ohio State in the past, God knows how long, in September. So this is, like I said, really, really early. As I said, probably going to be high scoring. Both teams are putting up 45 plus points a game. On paper, I think it's the biggest Penn State game in a while, especially during the regular season. Bowl game, you know, that's different, but it'll be close. I think because the game is here in Happy Valley, I think Penn State's going to win. I think you guys could determine that at the start of the show there. You know, the crowd, they'll get into it. It's a whiteout. Game day is going to be there, as I said. They might break the attendance record again. They broke it last year when Michigan came to town and game day was there. We'll see. Biggest game of the weekend, I think. But I'm going to pick Penn State to defeat Ohio State on Saturday night. So we are Penn State. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like button down below. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. You guys have questions, you guys have comments, there's the comment section down below. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. As I said, like, follow, and subscribe to Gridiron Ring on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Periscope, and check out the website. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram as well. All the links are in the description below. Be sure to go check out my NFL Week 4 predictions. And I will not be on Periscope, as I said, this weekend because I'll be at the game, Penn State-Ohio State game. And with technical difficulties, I'll be on Periscope again for WWE Super Showdown Saturday, October 6th. So I'll see everybody soon. As I said, go check out my NFL Week 4 predictions and then my NFL Week 5 predictions next week, along with my College Football Week 6 preview with Week 5 and Week 4 preview. So, recap. Excuse me. So, yeah. Thanks for watching again. As I said, hopefully Week 5 of the College Football season lives up to the hype. 4 good games this weekend, I think. I picked 27 games, so we'll have to see how I do record-wise. As I said, I did 19. I went 19-6 last weekend, but we'll have to see. That's why they play the games. So, we are Penn State. Have a good weekend.